Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so look, we all know time is an absolute blessing, right? It's an amana, a profound trust given to us. But let's just be entirely honest with each other for a second. You know it's precious, yet somehow you blink and it just vanishes into the absolute void of the internet. Just poof, gone. Now today, we are definitely not going to give you some heavy lecture on why you should feel intensely guilty about staring at your ceiling for 2 hours straight. We've all been there. Instead, we are looking at the actual science-backed cheat codes to hack your own brain. I'm going to show you how the source material breaks down managing your time so effectively and honestly so effortlessly that it almost feels illegal. Let's get into it.
So here's a scenario I know for a fact you have experienced. You start the day strong, you're getting things done, and then inexplicably, right around 2:17 p.m., your motivation just falls off an absolute cliff. You're sitting there at your desk, staring blankly at a screen, and suddenly you feel like you've totally run out of gas. Your brain is basically staging a dramatic, full-blown strike. Now you might sit there and think, oh man, I'm just lazy or I'm wasting my blessings today, but let me let you in on a little secret. That sudden drop, it isn't spiritual laziness at all. It is a literal, biological, chemical trick being played on you by your own brain.
Section 1. The Time Trap. Where does it go?
To really understand this trick, we first need to look at the trap we've pretty much all fallen into. For years now, mainstream hustle culture has been feeding us this incredibly exhausting, emotionally damaging narrative. You know the one. They tell you that to be successful, you must wake up at exactly 5 a.m. every single day, drink some lukewarm green smoothie that tastes like lawnmower clippings and sadness, and use, 17 intricately color-coded planners. Now, hey, don't get me wrong here. There is immense barakah, immense blessing and productivity in the early morning hours, especially right after Fajr. That's real. But forcing yourself into a hyper-stressed, rigid routine, that isn't a strategy. It's just a recipe for total burnout. The absolutely crucial point you need to take away from this is that your brain does not experience time logically. It doesn't look at a clock on the wall and say, ah yes, it's 10 o'clock a.m., time to be exactly 40% productive. No, it experiences time chemically. Specifically, it runs on two main fuels, dopamine and glucose. When your chemical energy is high, time just stretches out. You feel like a superhero getting a million things done. But when your energy is low, time collapses. A whole hour feels like 10 miserable seconds of pure existential dread. Understanding this chemical reality is the very first step. We need to stop endlessly chasing the hands on the clock and start actually controlling the chemistry happening inside our heads.
Secret 1. Energy, not time. If you genuinely want to master your day, you have to fundamentally shift your daily focus. We really need to stop tracking our hours like we're these unfeeling productivity robots and start monitoring our internal battery levels instead. Because your brain, it could not care less about the 24-hour construct. It only cares about its current energy capacity. Planning by the clock forces you to study when you're completely exhausted. It's that rigid, I will study from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. no matter what method, regardless of how totally drained you actually are. Planning by energy zones, though, means aligning your tasks with your natural biological spikes. When you do it this way, a highly focused, super intense 20-minute session actually produces significantly better results than 3 agonizing hours of low-energy scrolling while just pretending to read a textbook.
So think about it like this. High energy should be fiercely protected for your deep thinking, studying, and creating. This aligns perfectly with those blessed, incredibly quiet early morning hours when your mind is at its absolute sharpest. Then you've got your medium energy. That's for your admin work, things like organizing your desk or replying to those endless annoying emails. And low energy, just embrace the beautiful sunnah of the Kailula, the short midday nap. Or, just go for a walk and actually rest. You still have the exact same 24 hours as everyone else, but by managing your energy instead of your time, you get wildly different, almost unfair results.
Secret 2. The pain of starting.
Okay, we all know the terrible feeling of staring at a completely blank document or a totally unopened textbook. Let's uncover the hidden scientific friction of beginning literally any task. And brace yourselves for this, because it is wild. Science has actually shown that your brain hates starting. Not working, mind you, but the actual act of starting. Why? Because the act of starting a demanding task literally, and I mean physically, activates the pain center of your brain. Yes, literally. When you tell yourself, okay, I need to write this 10-page report right now, your brain registers that the exact same way it would if you asked to walk barefoot across a pitch-black room totally covered in razor-sharp Lego bricks. Your brain is playfully, but very stubbornly, acting as your ultimate opponent right here. So naturally, the question is, how do we outsmart this biological resistance? Well, we use what the source calls the fake start trick. The magical solution here is to never, ever actually start the full task. Instead, you just start a pre-task. If you need to study for 2 solid hours, do not say out loud, "I'm going to study for 2 hours." That instantly triggers the pain center. Instead, tell yourself, "You know what? I am just going to open the book and read one single sentence." That is it, just one. This microaction is so tiny, so insignificant, that it doesn't trigger the pain response at all. But once you actually do it, a little bit of dopamine is released, the momentum kicks in, and suddenly, almost by accident, you're in the zone. You basically bypass your own laziness entirely through neuroscience, not by just white-knuckling it with brute willpower.
Section 3. Time blindness and the multitasking illusion.
Okay, so you've outsmarted your brain and started the task. Great, but we aren't completely safe yet. We now need to talk about the hidden traps that quietly steal our hours without us even noticing. I'm talking about the modern distractions that can completely ruin an otherwise perfectly efficient day. Have you ever sat down, told yourself, "I'm just going to check my phone for 5 minutes," and suddenly the sun has completely set, it's Isha time, and your entire life has just flashed before your eyes? Yeah, that phenomenon actually has a name: time blindness. Your brain is, quite frankly, terribly, horribly bad at estimating the passing of time when it's being fed a constant stream of cheap dopamine from a little glowing rectangle. In these specific moments, your brain is essentially a toddler in a candy store. It absolutely requires strict external adult supervision. Otherwise, it's just going to eat digital sugar until it's physically sick.
So the solution? You have to be the adult in the room. You have to externalize your time, make it a physical, visible thing so your brain is forced to acknowledge it. Put up huge, obnoxious visual clocks, use actual countdown timers right there on your desk, or try matching a 10-minute motivating podcast to a specific chore you hate doing. When time becomes a visible, audible boundary sitting right there in the room with you, your brain suddenly snaps right to attention and actually starts behaving.
And listen, there is another massive time thief out to get you: multitasking. We all love to proudly sit around and think we can somehow juggle 5 complex things at once, but multitasking is a total, absolute scam. Every single time you switch your attention from one task over to another, your brain pays what researchers call a context switch tax. The science shows you lose up to 40% of your cognitive efficiency just by bouncing back and forth between tasks. 40%. You're basically taking almost half of your mental energy, putting it in a trash can, and setting it on fire just to feel busy. It is a terrible, terrible deal. The cheat move to fix this is to time block like a villain. Or, well, rather like a ruthlessly organized professional. One task, one block of time. Absolutely no negotiations, and definitely no checking those sneaky little tabs in the background. High performers, they don't actually work more hours than you do. They really don't. They just achieve way more by doing less at the exact same time. They fiercely, aggressively protect their focus and completely eliminate those 40% switch taxes. You don't need to find more hours in the day, you just need fewer switches. Final secret: prepare tomorrow today. All right, so we've covered managing your energy, overcoming that awful starting friction, and locking in your focus. Now it's time for our third and final massive cheat code: the concept of preloading your productivity. This is how you ensure you never, ever wake up feeling lost, overwhelmed, or behind before your feet even hit the floor. See, most people end their day totally exhausted, just doom scrolling until they literally drop their phone on their face. But smart people? Smart people end their day prepared. Right before you sleep, take just 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes to write down tomorrow's one single major priority. Then define the absolute first tiny physical step needed to start it. Setting this intention, this clear nia, actually aligns your subconscious brain overnight. By doing this, you completely bypass morning decision fatigue because the hardest choice has already been made for you. It's literally like waking up on productive autopilot. And honestly, this brings us to the absolute core takeaway from our source material today. Time management is not about discipline, it's about design. If your daily system is a chaotic mess, I promise you, all the willpower in the entire world will not save you. In our tradition, we are taught to do everything with ihsan, right? With excellence, beauty, and thoughtful care. Well, that completely applies to how we structure our days too. Avoiding wasted time doesn't require endless suffering, it requires a smartly designed system that works with your brain's natural chemistry, not constantly fighting against it.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, genuinely provocative thought to reflect on tonight. You have the cheat codes now. You know all about managing your energy zones, you know the genius of the fake start trick, you understand the dangers of time blindness, and you know how to preload your day. So the choice is entirely yours. Will you wake up and start your day tomorrow relying on the intelligent, almost effortless design of a system? Or will you just go right back to the exhausting, frustrating, endless suffering of raw willpower? Choose the system, actually master your time and watch your daily productivity feel suspiciously easy. Catch you next time.